Hi guys, this is Ray from TL, and in this video we'll be going over the concept of step up in daily average volume. We will cover what a step up in daily average volume represents, what it means from a price volume point of view, and what it means from a fundamental market structure point of view, the context that we should keep this characteristic in, and what should we be looking for as an example into the future once you learn the concept. So let's get started. A step up in daily average volume represents an increase in interest for the name itself. So on our charts, what we have here is a chart of Amazon going back to its IPO days. Amazon, when it started trading, saw very minimal volume, about less than 4 to 5 million on average for a 50-day average volume. Obviously, this chart is takes into account the reverse splits since then, and the splits and all that. So the concept that we're trying to cover here is the step up in daily average volume that we see in the stock over time from its IPO in 1997 all the way to the end of 1998. The step up in daily average volume as price increases represents the fact that institutions are starting to key in to the potential growth of this stock as a business with respect to its potential. This step up in daily average volume basically shows that there are multiple institutions, multiple pension funds, multiple hedge funds, and different parties that the 75% of the volume in the market, which is the institutions, are showing a greater interest in the stock over time. So from all of that basically shows up on the charts as volume on an average basis is increasing over time, as not only institutions but also retail traders are also interested in the stock that's showing such powerful price action accompanied by a step up in daily average volume, which is basically a very liquid stock, and the stock's getting even more liquid. Step up in daily average volume in and of itself shouldn't be taken as a signal, as a buy signal or a sell signal or whatever the case might be. It's just a characteristic that traders should keep track of to see if the interest in the name is increasing over time. And the other aspect to this is to see if this is a industry theme or a group theme over time. So if a lot of software names, as we go to our next example in OKTA, for example, right? Software names back in 2017, 2015, 2016, and 2018 were new issues in the market that were being listed and started seeing a step up in daily average volume as a whole. So something like a OKTA in the software space, application software space, started seeing, since its IPO, an increase in volume, which is basically a cluster of over a month. And then we see, as within the context of the overall markets, increase and decrease as price was trading. So this substantial increase, which is less than a million on a 50 or less than a million on a 20-day average, increasing steadily over a span of multiple months, shows institutional activity on the charts itself. Again, going back to, it's not a buy signal in and of itself. We have to keep market trend in mind in the overall context of things. This is a characteristic that shows institutional interest, which is 75% of the volume in the markets is institutional, and the fact that we're seeing clusters and a heavy visible increase. So if we compare the volume in July to September versus the volume that was seen from Feb to April in this particular name. Another example that we could go over is also in the same space and was around the 2020 timeframe is CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike in and of itself if we compare the volume from October to December on an average basis and the volume from December to February and from May to July, there's a substantial cluster or increase in daily average volume. That volume is not created by you and me, but that is institutional volume or a institutional volume cluster or a step up in daily average volume showing up on the charts. If this, going back to the very basics, if this is seen across a particular group, for example, the software group in its early stages back in 2015, 16, 17, is a sign that institutions see the growth potential for that particular group, so they are willing to position in stock for that group. Again, we must keep market trend in mind with any of our actions in the market, and the step up in daily average volume is not a buy signal or a sell signal. It's just an observation, and it's just a characteristic. Another example that I wanted to cover was LVGO. LVGO was fairly a new stock that was listed, and in this example, it's the same story that we're seeing. We're seeing a stock that averaged, we see a cluster of volume here where the average volume increases. We see it taper off again, and then we see a really visible step up in daily average volume after the March timeframe on this name. This clear step up in daily average volume shows institutional interest in the name in and of itself. So the fact that we see such a jump shows us that institutions are willing to position in the name, and now we have to use technical analysis, market trend in mind, to potentially position in the name if and when it shapes up well. So in this video, we covered a few examples, starting with Amazon, just to highlight a step up in daily average volume as institutions learn the story of the stock. That is visible as the volume increases on a daily average basis. The other example we highlighted was the OKTA, which we want to keep if we see multiple names in a group seeing a step up in daily average volume. That's a positive. CrowdStrike had similar characteristics where we see a clear step up in daily average volume. And the same thing with LVGO if we compare the volume from December to February to March on an average basis. Again, the point of emphasis is this is not a buy signal. We must keep the market trend in mind, and it's just a characteristic to be spotting on the charts.